Is your low-end PC slow, even after closing apps? You might think your RAM is the problem, or your processor is too weak, but the real reason could be hidden services running in the background right now. They start automatically, they run silently, and they consume your system resources all day. Today, you will learn which hidden Windows services you can safely turn off, and which ones you should never touch. If your PC has 4 GB or 8 GB RAM, this video could make it feel faster. What are Windows services? Windows services are background programs that run quietly inside your PC. You don't see them, but they start when your computer turns on and keep running all the time. Some services are very important. They handle things like networking and security, but others are only needed for features you may never use. Here's the problem for low-end PCs. Every running service uses RAM. Many also use CPU power. On powerful computers, this doesn't matter much. But on slower machines, these hidden services compete with your apps. That's when your PC starts to lag, startup becomes slow, and everything feels heavy. Disabling unnecessary services reduces background load. It frees memory, lowers CPU usage, and makes your system more responsive. But you must be careful. Turning off the wrong service can break important features. That's why in this guide, I'll only show services that are safe to disable for most low-end users and explain exactly why. Let's get started. Service 1, Fax Service. The fax service lets your computer send and receive fax messages using special hardware or a network fax system. This feature was useful years ago when fax was common in offices. Today, most home users never use fax at all. Email, cloud sharing, and messaging replaced it for daily communication. Even so, Windows still includes this service and may keep it running in the background. When active, it quietly waits for fax activity that may never happen. That means it still uses a small amount of memory and system resources. On powerful computers, this is not noticeable. On low-end machines, even small background tasks can affect performance. Disabling the fax service removes that unnecessary load. Your PC will still work normally for browsing, gaming, videos, and school or work tasks. Nothing changes unless you actually need fax features. Most users never do, so turning it off is safe. It can also help startup speed slightly because fewer services launch when Windows boots. Optimization is about removing features you do not use. This service is a good example because it exists mostly for compatibility. Turning it off simply stops Windows from running something you do not need. That gives your system more room to focus on real tasks. For older or weaker computers, removing unused background services like this can make performance smoother and more stable without installing any extra tools. Service 2, Bluetooth Support Service. Bluetooth Support Service controls Bluetooth connections for devices like wireless headphones, keyboards, mice, and phones. If you use Bluetooth often, this service is important. It keeps connections stable and lets devices pair correctly. But many desktop users never use Bluetooth at all. Some computers do not even have Bluetooth hardware installed. Even then, the service may still run in the background by default. When active, it checks for devices and keeps the system ready to connect. That process uses memory and a small amount of CPU power. On strong computers, this is harmless. On low-end computers, these background checks can take resources away from programs you actually use. Disabling the service stops those checks and frees system resources. Your computer will still work normally for internet, apps, videos, and games. The only thing that changes is that Bluetooth devices will not connect until you turn the service back on. If you never use Bluetooth, you will not notice any difference. Another benefit is slightly faster startup because Windows has fewer services to load. Optimization works best when you disable features you do not use. This is a safe example because it only affects optional hardware. If you ever need Bluetooth again, you can re-enable the service quickly. That makes it a reversible tweak. Turning off unused connectivity features is a simple way to reduce background activity and help low-end machines run smoother and more efficiently. Service 3, Touch Keyboard and Handwriting Panel. This service supports touch features like the on-screen keyboard and handwriting input. It is mainly designed for touchscreen devices such as tablets or two-in-one laptops. If your computer has a touchscreen and you use those features, the service is helpful. But many desktops and regular laptops do not support touch input at all. On those systems, the service runs even though it is never used. It stays active in the background waiting for touch input that will never happen. That means it still uses memory and keeps a process running. On high-end systems, this is not noticeable. On low-end systems, unused services like this can slow things down slightly. Disabling it stops Windows from loading touch components. Your PC will still work perfectly with a mouse and keyboard. Everyday tasks like typing, browsing, gaming, and watching videos will not change. The only thing removed is touch and handwriting support. If your device does not support those features anyway, you lose nothing. This makes it a safe optimization step for non-touch computers. It can also help start up speed because Windows loads fewer services. Small changes like this help reduce background load. Performance improvement comes from removing what your system does not need. This service is hardware-based, so if your hardware does not support touch, keeping it active serves no purpose. Turning it off helps your PC focus resources on tasks you actually use, which leads to smoother performance. Service 4, Print Spooler. Print Spooler manages printing tasks on your computer. When you print a document, this service stores the job and sends it to the printer in the correct order. It also manages print queues and handles multiple print requests. If you use a printer often, this service is necessary. But many people rarely print, especially laptop users or gamers. If you do not use a printer, the service still runs in the background doing nothing useful. Even idle, it uses memory and keeps a process active. On strong systems, this does not matter. On low-end systems, extra background processes can reduce performance. Disabling Print Spooler removes that unused workload. Your PC will still work normally for browsing, games, apps, and videos. The only thing affected is printing. If you ever need to print again, you can re-enable the service easily. Another reason some users disable it is security. Printing services have had vulnerabilities before, and turning it off removes that risk when unused. Optimization is about stopping unnecessary background activity. This service is a good example because it is only needed if you actually print. Removing it frees memory and slightly reduces startup load. Fewer services starting means Windows boots faster. For low-end systems, these small gains add up. Disabling unused services helps your system stay responsive and stable. It is a simple, safe change that can improve performance without affecting normal computer use. You've already learned more than most Windows users know, and we're just getting to the good part. The next settings are the ones that really impact performance, especially on low-end PCs. Don't miss them. Service 5, Windows Search Indexing. Windows Search Indexing is a service that scans your files and creates a database so search results appear quickly. When you type in the search bar, Windows shows results fast because it already indexed your files earlier. On fast computers, this works smoothly and is barely noticeable. But on low-end PCs, especially those with slow hard drives or older processors, indexing can slow things down. The service runs in the background and keeps checking for file changes. Every time you create, move, edit, or delete a file, it updates its index. This constant scanning uses disk activity and CPU power. If your system is already limited, this extra work can cause lag or high disk usage. You might even see your disk stuck at high percentage in Task Manager while doing nothing. Many users also do not rely on search often. They open files directly from folders or the desktop. In that case, indexing is using resources without giving real benefit. Disabling it stops background scanning and reduces system load. Search will still work, but results may appear slightly slower because Windows searches manually instead of using the index. For most low-end PC users, that trade-off is worth it. The system becomes smoother and more responsive. Programs open faster and random slowdowns become less frequent. This is one of the safest performance tweaks because it does not affect system stability. It only removes a convenience feature. If you rarely search files or your PC struggles with high disk usage, turning this service off can noticeably improve performance and free resources for tasks you actually care about. Service 6, Secondary Logon. Secondary logon allows you to run programs using a different user account than the one currently signed in. This feature is mostly used in workplaces where administrators manage multiple permission levels. For example, a technician may log in as a normal user but run certain tools as an administrator. Businesses and schools sometimes rely on this for security and control. Most home users, however, never need this feature. They usually use one account for everything. Even when not used, the service stays active in the background waiting for a request. That means it still uses a small amount of memory and system resources. On powerful machines, this is not noticeable. On low-end machines, small background tasks like this can add up and reduce performance. Disabling secondary logon removes that unused process. Your computer will still work normally for browsing, gaming, watching videos, and everyday tasks. The only thing you lose is the ability to launch programs as another user. If you never switch accounts or use advanced permissions, you will not notice any difference. Another benefit is slightly faster startup because fewer services load when Windows boots. Optimization is about turning off features you do not use, not removing important system parts. This service is designed for specific environments, not typical personal computers. That makes it safe to disable for most people. If you ever need it again, you can turn it back on easily. Removing unused services like this helps low-end PCs stay responsive and reduces hidden background load. Service 7, Connected User Experience and Telemetry. This service collects diagnostic data from your computer and sends it to Microsoft. The goal is to help improve Windows by analyzing performance, errors, and system behavior. It gathers information about hardware, usage patterns, and crashes so developers can fix problems and improve updates. While this can help Windows development, it is not required for daily computer use. On strong systems, telemetry runs quietly without noticeable impact. On low-end PC, background monitoring can use CPU time and memory. It may also trigger network activity when sending reports. If your system already struggles with limited resources, this extra workload can contribute to slowdowns. You might notice occasional spikes in usage or brief lag moments. Some users also prefer to limit background data collection for privacy reasons. Disabling this service stops diagnostic reporting and reduces background activity. Your computer will still work normally and receive updates. The only thing that changes is that your system will not automatically send diagnostic information. For low-end PC users, the performance improvement is usually more valuable than that feature. Turning it off can make the system feel more responsive and stable. It removes background monitoring tasks and frees resources for programs you actually use. This service is not needed for gaming, browsing, editing files, or watching videos. That makes it a safe optimization step for many users. Disabling it helps reduce hidden system load and can improve consistency on weaker hardware without affecting normal functionality. Service 8, Remote Registry. Remote Registry allows other computers on a network to access and change your system registry remotely. The Windows registry stores important system settings and configuration data. In business environments, administrators sometimes use this feature to manage multiple computers from one location. It helps them fix issues or change settings without physically touching each machine. For personal home users, this feature is almost never needed. Most people do not allow other computers to control their system registry. When enabled, the service runs in the background even if no remote access happens. It still uses memory and system resources while waiting for connections. On high-end systems, this is not noticeable. On low-end PC, every background process matters. Disabling it removes that unnecessary load. Another benefit is improved security. A service that allows remote registry access could become a target if a system is not fully protected. Turning it off removes that possibility and reduces risk. Your computer will continue working normally after disabling it. Everyday tasks like browsing, gaming, editing, and streaming will not change. The only thing removed is remote registry control. Since most home users never use that feature, nothing important is lost. This is why many optimization guides recommend disabling Remote Registry on personal computers. It is designed for specialized environments, not normal home use. Turning it off is a simple way to reduce background activity and make your system lighter. For low-end PC, small improvements like this can combine to create noticeably smoother performance. Quick recap: hidden services run silently. Many are useful. Some are unnecessary. Disabling unused ones can improve performance, especially on low-end PCs. Less background activity means more resources for your real tasks. What you should not disable: never disable core system services. Do not touch services related to networking, security, updates, or drivers. If you are unsure about a service, research it first. Disabling essential services can cause system errors or startup failures. Always change only the services you understand. Safe tweaks improve performance. Random tweaks can break Windows. If you found this helpful, the next video will show you how to free up RAM PC even more for a low-end PC. So make sure you watch the next video.